Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Daily Cards, the 2022 MLB Postseason edition here on ClaibsOnline.com, brought to you by Mungenast St. Louis Acura, Royal Banks of Missouri, and in the playoffs, Fast Eddie's Bon Air in Alton, Illinois. I can only imagine what the pregame party was like down there today. People over there in Alton, Illinois, heading over to Busch Stadium, and that's where I am right now. I am in a very quiet Busch Stadium right now, Rammer, as I'll show you around. I'll give you a quick 360 look as to where I am here on the top of Busch Stadium as we get ready for Cardinals and Phillies Game 2 as the gates open at 5:07 this evening for the 7:37 start time. Let's recap first off, because you and I didn't do a post-game show yesterday. And probably good that we didn't. We've had 24 hours to sit here and to think about what happened yesterday. Rammer, your thoughts on Game 1 of this 3-game series?
Well, I don't think the Cardinals made some decisions to put their best foot forward. While, yes, clearly postseason is different from regular season, I thought Oli Marmol, and here's what we don't know, how much his decision-making is influenced by the front office and the metrics people. We don't know that. It seems clear to me, though, that the removal of Quintana was predicated on a season-long compilation of numbers. And that's where I think you gotta use your eye test. And I think that while the game was 0-0, I don't think it was time to remove him. Then I think the order of relievers was screwed up, whether you removed him or not. And I think multiple innings this time of year, in particular for a guy like Helsley, sometimes it works, but I'm telling you, and yesterday proved it, and I don't blame anybody for not listening to me over the years, but it's something I've believed in for a long, long time. When you do that with a closer, in particular a young guy, you're not asking for trouble, you're begging for trouble.
So the way that pregame interviews, the pregame media availability works here in the playoffs, they have the interview room where everybody can sit and ask questions, and then they break it up into little groups too. They have the they have the rights holders that get to talk to him. They have the baseball writers that get to talk to him. So there are a few different questions asked in different scrums. And following the game yesterday, and also I guess during the pitching change, it did not come as a surprise to many that met with Oli Marmol before the game that he was coming out after his third time facing Kyle Schwarber. That was going to be the end of his line, no matter what the score was, no matter how many outs there were. Now, that worked. You went to Jordan Hicks. He got you the 2 outs he was supposed to get. You didn't have to have Jordan Hicks face Bryce Harper. My questioning did come into play when you go to Gallegos in the 7th, instead of using one of those lefties that you have. You have a left-handed starting pitcher. You have a left-handed future starting pitcher in that bullpen in Steven Matz and Zach Thompson. And 3 of the next 7 guys in the order for the Phillies were left-handed. I feel like you could have handed it off to one of those in the 7th inning to face Bryce Harper and then face the second half of that Phillies lineup and then get to Schwarber again before you really needed to go to Giovanni Gallegos there in the 8th inning.
All right, couple of points there. One, to have the game scripted ahead of time, Oli's cutting his own throat. Why do you need a manager? We already scripted it out. That's bad self-preservation, one, even if you believed it. But to plan it out ahead of time, I think is understanding what you're likely to do or what history tells us could be a situation moving forward, that's good. That's really good. But to go by a hard script in a game that is as fluid as the game of baseball, I think is ridiculous and will almost always come back to bite you. Hicks did his job. That's great. But now you got the 7th, you got the 8th, and you got the 9th. I think your point about left-handers is absolutely on point. I have nothing to add to that. You are absolutely right on. But even if you choose not to, which like you, I don't understand, you used everybody bass backwards. If you liked Palante enough to try and save your bacon in postseason, then why wouldn't you just use him in the 7th and use the guys that are used to the stress, Gallegos and Helsley in the 8th and 9th? It's bad decision making. It's bad baseball.
Well, let's talk about the game today and what we know. Ali Marmol met with the media, met in the interview room about a half an hour or so. Actually, more like an hour ago now. That's as I stand here and I record this with you. We do know Ryan Helsley, his MRI results did come back clean, so he is going to be available to pitch tomorrow. He is not available to pitch today after throwing over 30 pitches yesterday in the game. So
dumb managing. Managing.
Yeah, so Ryan Helsley not available today, but is not being taken off the playoff roster. Good. He would be available out of the bullpen tomorrow if the Cardinals do get there. Now, it's, as you mentioned about scripting out the game and how they had it scripted out yesterday, I don't think they have a script for today. I do not think they have a script today. I think it is all hands on deck. Ali was asked who he feels is the closer for today's game, and he said he hopes it's Miles Mikolas. He hopes that Miles Mikolas is the one closing out the game in the 9th inning, but he said he's going to see how things play out, and he's going to piece it together from there. He was asked who his starter is for tomorrow, and he said, we'll see who we pitch today. And all of that will be predicated on what happens in today's game. So there is no script for tomorrow outside of Ryan Helsley not being a part of that script in any way possible.
Well, and as I mentioned at the beginning, and I'll probably say it throughout postseason in some respects is a different animal. In elimination games, that is a different animal. So, So that's where I think your lefties come into play. Well, quite frankly, everybody comes into play. And the thing that could hurt the Cardinals in an all-hands-on-deck situation or any team facing elimination is the rule of having to face 3 hitters. It really complicates things for you and can hurt you in your left-handed pitcher usage.
Have you seen the Phillies lineup yet for today?
I didn't see the Phillies. I saw the Cardinals.
Okay, I've seen the Cardinals. I have not seen if the Phillies have come out with a lineup or not yet for today. But facing a righty, I imagine Bryce Harper's moved back to that 3 spot in the lineup. So you don't have the lefties spaced out like they were yesterday, which means those lefties that you do have in the bullpen probably do come into play a little more today, knowing that you can face Schwarber and Harper 2 out of 3 batters.
Yeah, if that's the case. And that's where Hoskins and Bohm are licking their chops because getting a left-hander out of his element there. But to counter that, that's where somebody like Steven Matz, who doesn't care because he's used to pitching at everybody and going through a lineup 2 or 3 times. So Matz, I think if you had to pick one guy out of the bullpen, obviously the key guy, you got to have a good game from Mikolas. But a key bullpen guy, I think today – I'm going to pick Steven Matz.
I think Jack Flaherty is going to be called upon in a big moment in today's game. And I don't know if they showed it on the TV yesterday, but they had him up on the screen here at Busch Stadium yesterday when Ali went to Palante in the 9th over Jack Flaherty, and Jack was noticeably pissed off.
I appreciate how he felt. It's Busch League showing it.
He did. I mean, to be. To argue for him, he got upset and he immediately went into the tunnel. So he didn't sit out there and pout. He didn't pull a Steve Klein. He did go. Good. he did go into the tunnel. No reports on what the damage looked like down in that tunnel following the decision. So I think he will be called upon in a big moment, maybe closer, maybe a big high leverage situation in the middle of the game. We will see how that plays out. Speaking of that Cardinal lineup, though, we mentioned it is out for today. Big change in the lineup, but two notable things in that lineup today. First of all, Juan Yepez, after the pinch hit home run yesterday, he is starting in right field today, starting in place of Dylan Carlson. So no Carlson in the lineup today. Lars Nootbaar is your center fielder. A little bit of a surprise. Yadier, maybe not when but Yadier Molina is catching Miles Michaelis today. I thought maybe this would have been Andrew Kisner's game. I think if they win yesterday, Kisner's starting today.
Yeah, the point becomes moot. I'm not surprised about Yadi, and it's odd. I came up with the exact same outfield alignment last night as I was, just steaming over yesterday's game and thinking about today. I thought about it, and then I sort of dismissed it, but I think Yep has earned a shot. I still do not like Nootbaar leading off. I don't know what happened in the last 2 weeks or the last week or the last day of the season to change what had been working for you. It doesn't make any sense to me. Donovan should be leading off. And if you want to overload your lineup, it should be Goldie hitting second, Pujols third. Albert can't run, and sure enough, he hit into a double play yesterday. Probably anybody hitting that ball would have hit into the double play, but it just sort of, I think, underlined my point. I don't think it's a good lineup.
We will see how things play out here in a few hours. 7:37 start time tonight in St. Louis at Busch Stadium. It is game number 2. I'll tell you this much. If it's 0-0 in the 15th, I don't know if my heart can take watching an elimination game like the one that they had to deal with in Cleveland earlier this morning and afternoon.
If it is, Adam Wainwright gets the win, and it's a euphoria all over the city.
Who hits the walk-off then?
Well, I don't know who's up. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And by the way, on my lineup consternation, if everybody, I said this yesterday, if everybody hits like they did in August, it doesn't matter what the lineup is. Yeah. So let's just hope everybody gets hot.
We will be coming your way tomorrow, win or lose, and hopefully we have a game to preview at tomorrow night for the Cardinals and the Phillies right here on Daily Cards, the postseason edition, brought to you by Royal Banks of Missouri, Mungenast, St. Louis Acura, and Fast Eddie's Bon Air. Rammer, I went and got my my Toyota Sienna today to drive down to Atlanta on Monday. I have it. I am in possession of it. So we will see if I will need that or if I have to return it on Monday. And of course, as always, our content brought to you, Rammer, by Royal Banks.
Royal Banks of Missouri, St. Louis, St. Charles, the East Side, Northeast Missouri, and each and every branch feels like your hometown bank. At Royal Banks, where better service means better banking.
He's Bob Ramsey. I'm Joe Roderick. Hey, we'll talk to you tomorrow right here on Daily Cards, postseason edition, right here on ClaibsOnline.com.